on this episode of Potages.
Yeah, you wouldn't have seen DemiDevimon farting out needles to put in horses' butts.
Not everything can be Danganronpa, Jeff.
You know, we haven't tested that theory.
I need your password. You can use mine to get on the internet.
Potages.
Welcome to Potages, episode 502, Breakfast of Digital Champions.
Digimon Data Squad DATS Intro Part 2.
Recorded October 22nd, 2017.
Potages is your critically nostalgic analytical tour through the Digimon anime. I'm Jeff Ruberg, and I'm joined by our retired boxing champ, Ashley McDonald.
You're really going to walk away after only fighting me for one round instead of three? Why are you going to do that? Why? That's an insult to me.
Our co-host, so greedy for money, he flew to Israel to become a rabbi, Asher Softman.
And you know Jeff knows nothing about what rabbis make by that sentence.
And the DATS agent, who doesn't have many lines, but is very opinionated about manju buns, Andrew Softman.
I couldn't find any manju buns, so I'm eating an orange instead.
Oranges are not relevant to this episode at all. I don't know what you're talking about. This week, we're looking at the second half of the DATS intro arc with episodes 6 through 11, so here's a quick recap.
In episode 6, the ultimate team no more, aka It's Not You, It's Me, Marcus and Agumon get into an argument and decide to take a break to see other Digimon. Agumon becomes a hikikomori and refuses to leave his Pokeball. Marcus tries to play Okami, but learns that you need a Greymon to defeat a Garurumon due to Newton's third law of conservation of adventure nostalgia.
In episode 7, a birthday Kristy will never forget, aka Orange, is the new bomb. Punchy Tai becomes Punchy Joe for the day when he goes to weekend school, so he has to formally relinquish his little sibling to Smartanya Mato. Classy awkward Matt goes on a date with a 10-year-old and her mom, and saves off-brand Disney World from the breakfast terrorism of a rejected Florida mascot.
In episode 8, The Singer's Secret, aka Take Me On, Take On Me, chaperone Sora goes deep undercover by dating Justin Bieber and pretending to be a complex character interesting enough to sustain her own episode focus. Thankfully, there are lots of dudes around to blow her cover and make sure she, a female character in Digimon, doesn't actually appear competent.
In episode 9, Never Meet Your Heroes, aka Mike Tyson's Punched Out, Punchy Tai starts investigating a boxer for punching good. Punchy Matt steals Marcus's main character hat so that he can stalk his hero and beat up his little daughter's cactus. And a boxing coach is actually named Rocky. Do you get it? Do you get it? You get it? You get it? Rocky.
No.
You get it? You get it?
Get it. I get
Nope,
it. I'm from Philadelphia. I get it. In episode 10, Curse This Curse, Marcus's bad day, aka Bodie McBoatface. Sakura is excited to go on a date with Yukito, but gets embarrassed by her older brother and curses him with a clow card. Punchy Tai becomes Clumsy Tai, but saves the day trying to punch a boat and then spray painting the invisibility cloak off of a Harry Potter cosplay Bakuman.
In episode 11, The Vial of Vilemon, aka A Friend in Greed is a Friend in Need, Agumon eats some buns and Marcus works his buns off to replace them, but finds Mr. Bunmaker addicted to horse racing loot boxes. A Vilemon summoned from Fate's Stay Night teaches the audience a lesson of the evils of health insurance and capitalism, and Marcus punches away gambling addiction.
Yay, Marcus.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, let's get our general impressions started. How would we all describe this arc in one word? I guess
Better.
Okay, so better in what way?
It was just better. Like, they felt more like characters than just complete stereotypes.
Ashley, what's your one word?
Creepy. Everything about Thomas and Marcus's mom and his little sister. Creepy.
I'm pretty sure Vilemon in Japanese is Creepymon. No, it's Evilmon.
Oh, plus Vilemon and DemiDevimon and Bakumon. Creepy.
Yeah, Creepymon is Daemon.
Oh.
Evilmon is Devimon.
Wait, no, Daemon is a thing in Japanese. So what's Creepymon?
Is Creepymon a thing?
Yeah, what?
Okay, so
It
I
was
guess
Daemon.
no, Creepymon I think is a different dub. Now I'm just
It was
confused.
one of the names for Daemon in the dub.
Yeah, I think it's a name that's just in the dub of this season later on, actually. So it's a dub only name for one season specifically.
Actually,
That's
I think it was in the card game.
Maybe, but it's hard to find information on that since it's so sporadic.
True.
Ashley, you finished, right?
Yeah. Yeah, creepy.
Asher, what's your one word?
My one word is not better, but like effort. Towards the second half of this arc, I felt like they were actually starting to make an effort with character writing. First half of this arc was awful. I agree with that. Ashley complained to me when she was watching it, and I hadn't watched yet, and I was like, oh boy,
yeah.
I'm so excited. But I actually felt interested in some of the little foreshadowing bits they were putting down. And I don't know, it was better than like having to sit through these character driven early episodes where all we were given was how absolutely awful these characters are. And now there's like plot or something. I don't know.
I agree with these assessments. I did find them more endearing in the less creepy episodes.
Yeah, I think mine pretty much agrees pretty closely with Asher's. My one word is intriguing. And because I think it's really, I mean, I guess we'll go right into a Patreon question from Marcus, which was, how do you like the structures of these episodes with it being more like crime solving instead of just walking into problems? And so the reason I find it so intriguing is the kind of like CSI-esque like government investigation format. I think it's a really interesting framing for Digimon because it actually in a lot of ways reminded me of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, except without the cyberness mostly, except from the Garurumon episode. Because it's like they're basically investigating problems that Digimon are causing, but they're manifesting in non-Digimon-like ways. And I thought it was a pretty interesting framing for like if every Digimon season you accept has to have some episodic episodes in the beginning to like introduce you to the characters, and then it eventually goes into our like season-wide plot. I think this is an interesting way to do these episodic episodes. It lets you do character studies into the people they're investigating, and it was kind of hit or miss on the actual execution of those character studies. But I think like that is a pretty watchable formula. And I don't know. I mean, I also like found the investigations themselves pretty silly and frustrating because I think in almost every case, it was extremely clear to the viewer what was going on. I think for most, I'm not sure about all of them. I think most of them, they would show you the Digimon causing whatever while they're investigating. So there was no question to the viewer what was going on. It was just a matter of like, when are they going to figure it out? I think the most painful one with that was the one where Agumon knew what was going on with Soulmon, like tripping up Marcus. And you're just like, the whole time, like, oh my God, just listen to Agumon, guys. But all of them were like that to some degree because it was like, we know what the answer is. This isn't a mystery. It's like part of the appeal of those type of shows is figuring out the mystery and like participating along with the characters. But instead, it's like, we all know, so just, I guess, do it.
I mean, we've always complained that Digimon has had that problem. And shockingly, I do not find the characters annoying in this regard. It does make me wonder what DATS used to, like how Digimon problems used to manifest if it wasn't like this. Because if it was always like this and they're only just figuring out, like, yes, then they're extremely dense and slow. But like,
I think that's the case. And yeah, but yeah, I didn't quite mean the characters are frustrating for not realizing it. I mean, they're frustrating in the episode where Agumon's telling them they don't listen. But I think in other cases, it's not really frustrating that the characters are frustrating. It's frustrating for me, like, why would you choose to show the audience all this information? I guess it's to dumb it down and make it easier to follow and to like pick up on midway or whatever. But instead, it's just like imagine like a Scooby-Doo episode, but you saw whoever was doing it the whole time. Like, I feel like it inflates all of the excitement from it. And I mean, that's a fair thing. Maybe they just weren't going for that, but it seems like an obvious thing that could be like the more exciting. Maybe it's because like then you don't get much screen time for the Digimon. Like if the DemiDevimon episode didn't have them appear until the very end, like I guess you get less screen time for the Digimon, and that maybe you'll want to feature them more. But yeah, and then we wouldn't have gotten to see DemiDevimon shooting needles at horses.
Yeah, you wouldn't have seen DemiDevimon farting out needles to put in horses' butts.
Energy needles.
I also feel like going back to what you were saying, Jeff, about the appeal of a mystery is to solve it along with the characters. I think there's a step away, or you have to take a step back from that with kids shows, because part of the appeal in general of mystery shows is solving it before the detective does and feeling really smart about yourself. For me, it was really frustrating because I hate like communication issues as a plot device when it's really ham-handed like this. Like, I accept that like 95% of all conflicts in all media are actually about communication issues, and some of them are actually really good. But when it's as blatant as like when you don't have a reason not to listen to somebody, that just rubs me the wrong way. But like as a consumer of media, I would rather know what's going on than not and feel really impressed by the characters that do. Like, that's just annoying to me.
I guess I had that same thought too of like, maybe I have weird expectations for children's media. But then I thought back to Scooby-Doo, and I'm like, that was a show meant for a similar kind of demographic, right? And that was all about having the, like, I think in Scooby-Doo, they make it kind of obvious what's going on. If like, you have to be smart enough to pick it up, but it's not just like handed to you. And this feels like it's just handed to the viewers in a way that's like,
Scooby-Doo is marketed as a mystery, while Digimon Data Squads is marketed as an action show.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not so much like it's wrong for it to not be a mystery show. I'm just like, oh, it was so close. It would have been so cool if they just like took it one little step further, and it would have, yeah.
Not everything can be Danganronpa, Jeff.
You know, we haven't tested that theory.
Do we have to do a class trial for this?
That would make this so much more fun.
Another aspect of, like, I wrote down here, in addition to like the CSI-ish episodic nature, I thought the arc structure was interesting. In addition to having the episodic stuff we had, it seemed like actual some threading of like the characters starting to notice. And I mean, yeah, okay, it's implausible they would have just noticed. I mean, we commented on the noticing that the Digimon are affected by the human emotions in the last chunk too. So like, it's definitely taking the characters, I think, a bit too long to notice here. But the fact they did is surprising for Digimon. Like, when we brought it up in the last episode, I was like, I think this might be an accident. It might not be intentional. Even if it is intentional, they're not going to bring it up. And they did, so that's cool. And also neat to thread that in a way, like Thomas comments on it at the end of episode 10, and then goes away for episode 11 to investigate some more, or investigate something some more, and then comes back at the end of episode 11 and is like, I have a cliffhanger to end the episode on. And
dun, dun, dun.
Presumably that'll pay off well in episode 12, maybe? We'll see when we watch that next week. But
unless you watch the preview.
The preview showed some stuff, and I wasn't sure if that was actually Thomas's reveal.
It's not.
Okay, there's just stuff. And the preview is purposely misleading in some ways. Did we all watch it?
The only thing I remember is them talking about like Falcomon or something.
Well,
and some
it's like
ominous Digimon.
Yeah, it purposely, it's misleading because it's like, there's an egg and there's a Digimon. I don't quite remember how. Anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, I guess Ashley, you said you liked that structure. Were you saying that? Was it Asher?
What structure?
The structure of like having things be like foreshadowed. I guess it was Asher was saying the foreshadowing was neat. Did that happen? Did I make that up?
Yeah, Asher said that.
Well, okay. Let's do a check-in on the characters then. This is also inspired by Patron Marcus asking us, have the characters changed enough for you to like them? So let's start with Marcus. Is he still annoying?
He's
Not
still
as annoying.
No, I think he's still as annoying. It's just I have become numb.
I've become so numb.
Yeah, that was the reference. Thank you, Ashley. You understand me in my soul.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't tell. Maybe I've become numb too. I don't know. I found him less annoying, but I don't think I'm quite too like, yeah, like Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually pretty similar to how the characters treat him. Like, because what I remembered before coming back into the season was that like Thomas and Marcus, or as I recalled them, Masaru and Toma, have a conflict early on. Like they butt heads so much that I remember thinking like, how are they ever gonna get along? And they eventually get along. And now watching it's like, okay, they kind of just dropped that. Like Thomas, they definitely still have antagonistic personalities, but Thomas is just like letting it slide. Like, okay, you're Marcus. I'm not going to like actually compete with you or get annoyed by your rudeness. And I feel like that's kind of how it is as viewers. We're like, okay, I'll just let it slide, Marcus. Like, I'll start to like notice the positives and ignore the stuff I don't like him saying tuts and it's fighting time every episode.
Yeah, doof.
You doof? I should catch that. I should also catch toots. For now, I just have.
Yeah. Did he stop using that?
I don't know, because I think I just miss it.
Doesn't have anybody to insult but Yoshino, and he's like,
yeah.
I would have. Totally has a crush on her now, so.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, he has a crush on her?
Oh, come on!
Wait, no, I actually don't remember that being like a thing.
That whole neon plot? Are you serious?
oh, is he like, I did not think he was like frustrated that she liked someone else, more just like frustrated that she liked a guy that wasn't him. You know, kind of like, this guy is better than me. How dare he?
All I'm saying is that he was very like, Yoshi, I will save you. Like, don't be with that guy, be with me. I'm like, oh, you're like 5 years younger than her. Shut up. Get out of here.
I don't even remember this.
I wasn't reading that as Marcus liking her in that way. Even though, like, I think in general we as a collective Western society have been trained to think that way about guys getting protective over girls. To me, it seemed like he was worried about her, actually in a really patronizing way. The way he'd worry about his mom or Kristy.
I remember writing down at that point, like, is he ever going to learn that this is patronizing or bad or anything? He's like, no, he probably never will.
No. Yeah.
She's so much older than him, and
yeah.
We'll get to Yoshi in a second. But yeah, and Marcus still needs everyone to babysit him. Like, he's constantly running off and doing something, and then everyone's like, we need to follow him, and then like make sure he doesn't die.
Make sure an oil tanker doesn't come in and hit him because he's a moron.
Yeah. And
it's nice that they all care so much. I would have liked for them to have let the oil tanker hit him.
And I think one aspect of his personality that people really like, and I actually I'm not sure if it's the whole fandom or if it might just be May from Lost in Translation, but that like he's such a good brother and.
His whole family dynamics are weird. I have done a total flip between really liking his mom and sister, and now I'm like, no, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, his mom. We'll get to that when we get to the Thomas section, I guess. But yeah. I think his dynamic with his little sister protecting dynamic is not, just as a disclaimer, is not as bad as lots of sibling dynamics in anime can get by any stretch. But I don't know, the whole like, I will protect her so vehemently is, I guess if it's just applied to Kristy, it's not so bad. But the fact that he applies it to every female character is like,
it makes sense. His sister is small, he punches things, fine, but he applies it to like, then his mom has like weird relationships with both of them and with Thomas, and like Yoshi never gets to do anything even though she has a Digimon. It doesn't make any sense. She's older than them. I don't understand.
Wait, Yoshino has a Digimon?
What?
Surprising.
Oh.
So moving on to Yoshino.
Doesn't want to lose anyone. Not again.
I guess that's a possible motivation. But yeah, moving on to Yoshino. She is so sidelined in this arc. It's not funny. I mean, she has an episode of Focus, and in that episode doesn't get to fight, Digivolve, any like.
Right.
She is told that she is emotionally compromised on the case.
Okay. On the one hand, like maybe. On the other hand, she's the closest in terms of like assessing information. Like she clearly, like there was a reason why they sent her in to just be like, you're too emotional. Like, such a garbage trend. Not trend, but
also, Thomas was the one who called her out on being emotional right after the episode where he turned off his comm because he was emotional and decided to take something personally. And Samson agreed with him, and it's just like, I want to throttle every writer of this show.
Well, you see, when a girl's emotional,
that's my
classic.
When a girl is emotional, it's wrong. When a guy's emotional, it's good character.
Yeah, it shows the morality of his character.
Yeah. And there was a moment where they tell her not to go in, and then she does anyway, and Thomas has like bugged her comm or whatever to see what she's going through or hear or something. I can't remember. And it's incidental. And then he's like, yeah, I like sometimes, I forget what he said, something like, I knew she wasn't going to do it. So I trusted that I didn't trust her or something. And I was just like, for a second, I thought what they were going for was that they were on the same page and lied to Samson so that she could sneak in. And I was like, oh no. They just like went behind her back and like totally didn't trust her. I'm like, oh, that's even worse. Oh, Jesus. For a second, I thought it was like a good moment of like, yeah, we lied together to the higher ups, but like, and then let you go. But no, it's instead like, we trust that as a woman, you're not going to listen to orders and like, Which, I mean, I guess on the one side, it is very similar to exactly what Marcus does. Like, Marcus is telling him to do something. He's like, I'm going to go run and do it anyway. So I guess I shouldn't chalk it up to just being a woman.
It's super hypocritical of the two dudes in the show to be like, Yoshi is the one who has always been the one who is like, I will follow orders. And then in the one instance where she's like, I'm a little bit hesitant, they're like, she's not going to follow orders. She's emotional. We must follow her. She's going to do it wrong. I'm like, oh my God.
And when Marcus and Thomas don't follow orders, I don't think Thomas does so much, but in the, like, especially when he went to Digital World and stuff, when they don't follow orders, they're always like, and then in the end, you did a good job. So congratulations. Like, you did a good job in the end.
Rewarded for
it. But she, breaks orders and then is like, but thanks to the guys, someone was there to save her. And like, she doesn't even.
It's hard to like Yoshi when the show really doesn't want me to like Yoshi. And I'm like, yeah, you're succeeding. You're succeeding, show. I've got it.
Yeah, it's sad because, like, in so many ways, I thought she was a more complex, interesting character than Zoe. And in so many other ways, it's just like she's almost more sidelined because it's like, at least with Zoe, it was like all like Zoe, JP, and Tommy were sidelined together. Instead, it's like it's kind of just Yoshino at this point.
Oh, it's definitely just Yoshino at this point.
Yeah. So is Thomas less annoying this time?
No.
He's an awkward person who lacks interpersonal communication, and he's supposed to be the smart one, but he keeps doing dumb things.
Yeah, the one moment that stands out to me that does confirm the smartness thing is that when he's like basically describing what Marcus is going to do in terms of applying the spray paint to the Soulmon. And I was like, oh, that's actually like, that was well done. I was like, I believe he's smart from that. Also, the whole point was that the idea was so obvious that Marcus would do it too, though. So it wasn't like, he's a genius. But
yeah, he doesn't know how to act around people at all. Like, it's actually kind of amazing.
I didn't really get that vibe.
I have mixed feelings. And Ashley already disagrees with me, even though she doesn't know what I'm about to say. Yeah, it's all right. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of Thomas being all, like, creepy on Marcus's family, but I also kind of am. I am deeply endeared to characters who, the trope found family. I'm deeply endeared to that trope. And I do remember parts of Thomas's backstory. So him finding a measure of like connection and comfort in Marcus's very weird family, and those very uncomfortable dynamics where he's just super weird about them. So I don't like what he does, but I am endeared to the impulse, let's say.
See, like I don't even think it's that Thomas does anything particularly weird to them. I mean, there are a couple like reactions, like when he blushes in response to Marcus's mom and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's creepy, but I don't think it's so much like him going out of his way to do creepy or weird things. It's more like the scenario is weird here. Like, why are you? It's like the scenario is kind of shipping both Thomas with Kristy and Rachel.
Sarah.
I get the Torah name so confused.
Okay.
Wait, isn't it Rachel and who's Rachel's sister?
Leia. No.
Leia. No.
Yeah. No. Yes. Rachel and Leia. Wow.
Oh, and Rebecca is there somewhere.
Rebecca is Jacob's wife.
Ashley, you're supposed to know this. This is your.
Oh, I got that completely wrong. Rebecca is Isaac's wife. It's 8 p.m. already. I'm trying to switch between Digimon and Jew right now. Like, yo.
Would it help if instead of saying Rachel, I said Rachel?
No. It would not.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah.
It would help if instead of Leia, I said Princess Leia?
No, that would just make it more confusing.
But yeah, anyway.
Okay. I agree with all of you in that, like, it's not all Thomas's fault that situation is creepy. Like, yes, Marcus's mom and Kristy react in super also creepy. And I'm like, no, that's not how you should react. Wait. What Thomas has done.
I just want to say, like, I think that Kristy having a crush on Thomas I don't think creepy. I think it's totally, like I joked in the recap or whatever, like it totally reminds me of Sakura from Cardcaptor Sakura, crushing on her older brother's friend. Like, I feel like
It
that
reminds me of real people.
yeah, real people do it too. And so like
Okay, yeah, but then when you throw the mom in, it's like, no.
yeah.
And it happens.
No.
I've seen it.
That doesn't mean that it should be in my media. The way
Yeah,
you
if it
prevent
happens-
those things from happening is don't put it in your media.
and when it happens, I would kind of judge people for that. And so like I don't like it, especially my protagonists, my heroes in media, and the thing that's like kind of condoned. Yeah. And
I mean,
yeah.
for Asher, I guess the found family part totally makes sense. But all it really made me think of was that like Thomas was a more willing Usui from Maid-sama going with Yukimura's sister or whatever.
yes, everything is made summer.
It's a ridiculously common trope at this point. Like, why is every blonde boy that ever shows up in an anime or manga like immediately full of family problems and like needing a mom?
Yeah.
Like, what? Why? Japan, what happened to you? Do you want to talk about it?
Do you want to meet some real blonde people?
I mean, I guess actually in those, because it's not every time that blonde characters in Japanese media wear blonde for people of Japanese ethnicity, a blonde hair color does not naturally exist. At least in those two examples, sometimes they don't really explain the ethnicity or whatever, but like in those two examples, Thomas and Usui are both foreigners, and like, okay, so I guess it correlates with
They're half.
Right, yeah, they're both half.
What about
And also Tamaki, yeah, is also part of that.
Who?
From Oran
Oran.
High School.
Oh. So sometimes though in anime they'll just have blonde characters that don't have any, like they've either, I guess, dyed their hair, but
Yeah, but this seems to be a trope specifically with the rich ones.
Yeah, the rich blonde
European
people.
yeah, I bet it. Yeah, I think it comes from a place of like, what if this like super hot rich boy was super rich and had family problems, and you could solve them. And
then we're getting into some really interesting, weird power east-west dynamics. Also,
like Lucimon. Lucimon was the ultimate rich blonde boy that you wanted to
Oh yeah.
integrate into your family.
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. So Ashley says,
Hey, no, this even applies to previous Digimon characters. Look at Yamato and Takeru. Their grandpa's French.
Oh yeah.
Allegedly.
Mhm.
Allegedly, yes.
Wait, so I think Ashley's the only one who doesn't know what's coming up with Thomas's family. So actually, I'm curious what you think about that. Like, did like the foreshadowing in this arc? What were your thoughts on it?
They like showed him with his mom when he was younger, right? Thing. I assume she's
think so.
dead. I don't know why she's dead. Probably some Digimon thing. I don't know
Probably some
where
Digimon
his
thing.
father could have.
She was actually eaten by a Digimon Hollow,
Oh, okay.
but then it turns out she's actually a Digimon Quincy, and yeah.
And then you Fullbringers come, and who cares? I assume that his father is not dead, but he's also not around. Like nobody knows where he is, or something. I don't know why. They're just kind of.
Thomas is from abroad, so he can be anywhere.
Yeah. Speaking
Do I
of family,
believe-
sorry.
I'm questioning whether I believe it's somehow related to whatever has happened to Marcus's dad, but I don't think so. That seems conspiracy theory-ish.
On the one hand, I like how much we get to see of Marcus's family interacting with everyone else and stuff, but like it seems at the cost of anyone else having a family that is present and relevant. I mean, I guess we'll
Yeah, where's Yoshi's family?
yeah. She's graduated.
She's
from
an
having a family.
independent woman.
Yeah. I wanted to
She's
hit
fine.
I wanted to hit on like a check-in on the Digimon human dynamic that we kind of talked about last episode and stuff, and that pattern of, like we said, the pattern of influence has been acknowledged and directly referenced, and I'm curious to see how it goes going, because what I don't remember that really factoring into the broad season arc that much, but I guess we'll see. And something I thought about this episode was that like particularly when Marcus is riding the Garurumon in the first episode we watched, and it's almost like I was expecting him to like bond with Garurumon, like actually kind of maybe solve it without Agumon and be like, okay, we're bros now, but nope.
Too angry.
I guess.
Evil Digimon
Evil.
don't talk. Like,
The
did that
Vilemon talks.
talk?
Yeah, Vilemon and DemiDevimon talked this arc. And
Yeah, okay.
I think that was
I
it.
don't think Pokemon talked. I don't think Garurumon talked.
yeah, and I think there's some weird, I mean, not weird, it's totally expected, but what that says about who we can sympathize with in these early episodes, which is a problem Digimon always has, like, to make the Digimon antagonistic in early episodes, before you have a broad arc and like and masters they can be serving, you make them not nonverbal so that you assume they're just monsters and whatever. And the one time they didn't do that in this broader DATS introduction arc was when they looked so evil that you're like, well, they're clearly just bad. If they're talking, then it's like fine to kill them because they're evil. They're literally Evilmon and DemiDevimon. Like, so... And yeah, that's whatever. I mean, that's fine. I want to be like, I'm frustrated by like vilifying Digimon like that because it's like correlates with, at least it's not like an ugly old witch or something, because that actually has real world, much more analogous real world situation. It's not like people look like an Evilmon / Vilemon or look like a DemiDevimon, but the old vilifying old witch hag kind of thing does totally. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why the Digimon aren't verbal. I really think it's just a sloppy cutting corners of the writing to make them okay with resetting them, turning them into Digieggs. But in some ways,
confusing.
Yeah. But I also thought, and I think they do point out in one episode, I can't remember where, but like the way that the Digimon are coming based on human desires and helping them is in some ways a more natural pairing of a human and a Digimon. And like they are almost like their own partnership. And it's especially weird in contrast to our protagonists, which are part of this government bureaucratic agency that is like this is your official partner. Like you, Marcus, and you, Agumon, are a team. This is your assignment. This is your job. And whereas the people such Digimon they're investigating and hunting and whatever, they're like more like, oh, we just met and like we're helping each other out and it's a symbiotic relationship. That's kind of a little bizarre, but I guess it's like, I don't know what that's kind of saying is that like I don't know they really thought that message right through. I don't think they thought the message through right well, that it's like when other people do it, it's bad. When we do it, it's good.
Well, it's when it's bad when it's through impulsive, raw emotion.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess there is a specific instance of things happening in the wild that is not negative or vilified, which we'll get to eventually. So
I mean, they also imply that the Digimon takes over the human somehow. Like the human in these things has always been like, I couldn't control at all what I was doing. So I guess you could believe that Yoshi, Marcus, Thomas, like, can resist those things because they, like...
Their DNA is better.
DNA is better. They resist normal human temptations or whatever.
Yeah. Also, I had one last thing I wanted to talk about in the general discussion, and it's like this kind of theory that I've been thinking about in relation to, like, realizing that in this arc, in this season, the Digimon hobby, whatever, is kind of, it's treated like a part-time job. I mean, for Yoshino and Thomas, I guess it's a full-time job, because Yoshino is past high school age and Thomas supposedly graduated college already, even though he's
a nerd.
He's a nerd genius. I think he's supposed to be middle school aged. I think he's supposed to be the same age as Thomas, right?
He's the same age as Marcus.
Yeah. But anyway, but for Marcus, he's in middle school and it's his part-time job. And I thought there was an interesting and fresh way of integrating Digimon into real life. And it made me realize, like, I think the good seasons of Digimon, this isn't why they're good or whatever, but I think they do something that most of the good seasons of Digimon have is a kind of like a plausible slotting in of Digimon along with normal everyday lives. Like, they frame the Digimon activities that the show centers on as like analogous to a relatable component of a kid, and I guess a Japanese kid's daily routine, daily life.
So by this logic, the only bad seasons are...
Well, wait, sorry. Let me explain first before, like, you can see it written down. But okay, so and with that, like, adventure is basically the kids going to summer camp, and 02 is the kids going to an after-school club. Tamers is hanging out with friends after school and raising pets. Frontier doesn't. They kind of just go with the digital world because they're bored. It doesn't really fit this model. And Savers is a part-time job, and Cross Wars and Hunters also don't really have this. They're kind of just...
No, Hunters does.
Hunters, it's kind of like, aren't they just responding to things going around the town?
They go to school.
Sure, they go to school, but like they don't, like, what I'm saying is, like, in 02, it's kind of like they go to school and they go to a club afterwards. Like, they go to the computer lab. They go, like, it's like, okay, school's over, let's go to club. In Hunters, it's kind of like we go to school and Digimon stuff also happens. It's more like Try in that regard, where it's like there's daily life and there's Digimon, but it's not like tightly like slotted into a specific thing that is like it's not like they go to school and they go to Digimon Club afterwards, like 02 very much is. And Appmon, just rounding out, Appmon is I think pretty similar to Tamers in the regard of, like, it's just the kids hanging out after school. Like, they literally go to the bookstore to hang out and then investigate stuff as it comes out. I don't
know. I still think Hunters falls under this category.
Yeah, I guess Hunters probably falls into it, like, because Appmon is similar, like, things just happen around town. So I guess I still like Hunters, so I'm vilifying it. But yeah,
it wasn't that bad.
It was okay. But anyway, I think that's an interesting way to make Digimon more relatable, especially compared to Pokemon or something where it's a completely abstract, totally different world. And I think Digimon at its best slots it into these real life components. This episode is brought to you by Shitori Buns, because when you need to surprise your friends or family or coworkers, you need to bring in the big buns. Ever had your annoying dinosaur coworker eat all of your buns and put you back in square bun? Don't worry, just come on down to Shitori Buns and treat yourself to a smoking bun. Everyone just needs to look out for number bun. Bun to my head, I wouldn't trust my bedridden wife to eat any food other than Shitori Buns. A healthy part of this complete breakfast, and lunch and dinner. When you're hungry, just remember to stick to your buns. So, I think it's time for us to address the giant orange in the room, which
I ate two already.
The fact that it barely even came up in the general impressions, I think, shows how, in some ways, incidental it is. But I think it's a common talking point about the season in terms of dub changes and everything. So I guess it's possible some people would have watched this dubbed and not notice the big glaring difference with Citramon. And I guess just to inform those people, Citramon in Japanese is not Citramon. Citramon is originally Bomber Nannymon and is, I guess, in the Nannymon family, which I don't remember that really existing aside from, I don't think there are any other blah 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 Nannymons. And if there were one Digimon to not make a family of, I think it would be Nannymon. we could go without that. But sorry, I realized I didn't set a timer. Okay, setting a timer now. And yeah, so I just want to get to like the nature of, so this is obviously a big glaring change. Like they recolored him, they changed a bunch of dialogue to make it about the threat of orange juice instead of blowing up the amusement park. And
I think they didn't even save it in the end if you think about it.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like because if it was juice exploding from the...
There was juice when he exploded and it all went down.
I just interpret that as like fireworks-esque stuff. Like I assumed he was full of juice.
There was also juice.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to like use it as a launching point to talk about like localization in general and how this fits into that. And I think there's so Digimon is not a faithful translation. It's a localization that does it's an adaptation that takes a lot of liberties, but just on the nature of faithful translations in general, I think there's a ideal of literal translations that people put too much weight into. I think a lot of people assume there's a grand universal literal truth that exists, and just here to say that doesn't really exist. There is no like, you're choosing each word to translate. There is no one literal obvious answer for everything. Every word in every language has a contextual meaning within that culture. And so choosing how to translate it, like it's not as easy as just looking up in the dictionary and there's the right answer there. First of all, you look up in the dictionary and there are several possible ways to translate it. And those are just the like quote unquote literal translations, but there's also just like what it means in context. If it's a word that, like, I mean, a prime example of this is the fact that Japanese doesn't traditionally, like we think of swear words, doesn't really have that concept. It just has a matter of like being particularly rude is analogous to the way we use swear words. So like if you look up like nani, it's like the translation is what. But like depending on how you say it and what part goes in at the end, it can be more like what the hell or what the heck or what the F. Like, so yeah, there's no literal ideal or objective or whatever, objective truth. So I think the way people hold it up as an ideal is a little bit flawed. But so you're just trying to like, if you're going for a faithful translation, you're just trying to convey the same contextual reaction. So if there's a word that like as a Japanese audience, you would hear and be like, oh, well, that word is never used in this context. So the fact that it is means something. Those are the kind of things you're trying to preserve somehow. It's never going to be possible to preserve all that stuff. That's like why the concept of things being lost in translation exists, because even a faithful translation can't reproduce the cultural aspects and everything. So that's why like if a target culture is particularly sensitive to something, like the culture that you're targeting the adaptation for, I think it is fair to change that to, because like the concept of a giant bomb blowing up an amusement park in Japanese culture, I don't think is as sensitive as it is in the US, where the threat of people blowing up or bombing or shooting public spaces is much more real. And I think it's only gotten more real since this episode aired in 2004, 2005. And so like just things like the Boston Marathon bombing, like big public spaces people go to have fun and be with other people are everyday threats in the US in a way that like, it's just not a fun, like, oh, like I think in the Japanese viewing of this episode, the idea of a giant bomb showing in an amusement park is like, oh, that's so absurd. That's almost Godzilla level. Like it's like Godzilla attacking Tokyo. That's never going to really happen. But in the US, it's like, okay, a giant bomb, no, but like a bomb, okay. And there's the obvious elephant in the room that like, I think even Jeff Nimoy has admitted to this, that like they couldn't have a bomb in an amusement park because it was too similar to Disney World, Disneyland, and this season was produced by Disney. And so and I think Ashley, when we were talking offline, you were like, it's kind of not great that like they care about protecting sensitive issues when it's about their bottom line or about their own corporate interests.
Well, yeah, because it's like, I agree with you that, the difference between Japan and America is certainly, the difference between America and everywhere is that like guns certainly are more prevalent. We are super obsessed with terrorism after all these like 9/11 and other terrorist events. And those things are not as prevalent. Like Japan has a super, they're not allowed to have guns culture. It's just very different.
Terrorism, I think there is a threat of terrorism in Japan, but it manifests in different ways. Like I think if you wouldn't have a show in the 90s that just casually had a gas attack on a train on a subway system, because that was a huge, like that's the main reason why there aren't trash cans in public places, because that was the vector of attack used for the sarin gas attack in the 90s. So like,
wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, look at the information now, but I'll link to it.
No, I mean trash cans in public places.
Yeah, let me double check. That's the connection. It might not be that attack. It might be a different attack.
But there's trash cans everywhere.
In Japan? No, there's not.
Like, it's not like there are no trash cans, because in recent years they've been, the memory has faded and it's like, okay, we can start having trash cans again. But for a while it was like no public trash cans because of that. Or like at least in the subways. But now there are trash cans in the train system. So people have, sorry, I'm just double checking whether it is a sarin gas attack. Yeah, it was. Just
the one from like 95?
Yeah. We'll have a link
the
to
one that
attack
penguin drum.
Yeah. I only heard about it at first because of Mawaru Penguin Drum, which I feel kind of bad about.
Because of course we all did.
But it's a big cultural event. Like I should have heard about it before that. But anyway, yeah.
Anyway, but yes, I also am like, okay, but like Digimon is full of fighting. Like this whole season is about a dude who punches people, and it again just reveals America's like, focus on capitalist bottom lines in what they actually care about, hurting people. It's like Disney World's like, no, we're the happiest place on earth, so we can't show a bomb that's in an amusement park. And it's like, okay, Disney, sure. Nothing else in this season is possibly harmful to children and their thoughts. Let's just pretend that's
noticed,
true.
They keep using these like effect shots when someone gets hit, like when a human gets hit, like during the boxing match.
I didn't notice that.
Sure, but who cares?
Like another point I wrote down was just that like I think it's fair to change things that would be sensitive to the audience you're targeting, because it's like if they have a very different reaction than the Japanese audience, because it's like particularly this huge thing that makes them think of some specific incident, I think it's fair to change it so it's just as incidental as it was to the original version. But I, on the other hand, do think it's frustrating. Some of the times the things that we and any culture are sensitive to, I find kind of frustrating. Like, I find it kind of frustrating when religious references have to be cut out, because it's like you can't upset the hardcore religious Christians, because if you talk about the devil or like things like that, then like that'll be bad. And I'm like, I don't know. Part of me is just frustrated by that, because it's like a majority kind of, it's like being upset about the war on Christmas. It's like, oh, come on, like having some like Harry Potter having magic in it is not like suppressing your religion. Anyway, and that often feels like, come on, did you really need to like cut out references to the devil and stuff? Like, America. But I think like my conclusion is that it's like there's a continuum of incidentalness, and it's like this is somewhere in the middle, whereas something like I think we mentioned a couple episodes back, but the Akibuzz Beat KKK incident, where like Akibuzz Beat was a game in Japan, and they, in the background of a random scene, they wrote there's like a Japanese company called JKK, and they avoid direct references to companies, so they like will mix it up, like saying McDonald's instead of McDonald's, and they changed JKK to KKK, and then making the English version, they were like, the localizers were like, no, we can't just write JKK, we can't just have KKK in the background, like that means so much to an English speaking audience. And so they changed it, and there was a whole controversy because one of the, I think he was a localizer, one of the like people working on the localizing team was like, yeah, he quit because he was like, no, they're like tainting the game and they're like changing it. It's reduces the original vision and stuff. And that was an extreme example, because the original Japanese developers came out and were like, no, we did not intend it to be this. Now we understand, and we don't mean it that way. Please change it. And so it's like a direct proof of like, this was incidental. And whereas this, it's like, okay, it wasn't, I think to some degree, Bomber and Animon being a bomber and being about bombs was kind of incidental. Like all that was like the crux of it was like there was a threat in the amusement park that caused fireworks in the end, because that's what Chico wanted, or Chico/Kristy wanted. And on that note,
green and orange fireworks.
Yeah, the dub emphasizing the green and orange aspect of it. I'm like, okay, you could just say she wanted fireworks. Like you don't need to make it like I want it signed green and orange, and then a green and orange. But I mean, it also, maybe it leads some more credence to like, because it never spelled this connection out, but I'm like, was Bomber/Nanimon / Citramon summoned by Kristy's desire? In the dub, I think it's more explicit about that because it's like, I want green and orange fireworks, and then a green and orange thing shows up. So, kinda. Yeah. So, but then there's like, so because of that spectrum, that continuum of incidentalness, I don't think there's not a clear dividing line, and there's definitely like stuff far on the other end, the other end of the Akiba's beat thing, where it's like, it's pretty central to the narrative, and like, even if it's a thing that is sensitive to the culture you're targeting, it probably shouldn't be changed because it is central to the narrative and everything. And I just think, I guess like the differing demographics make it more, because the show is more targeted to kids and more willing to change things to fit whatever, and parents are more sensitive and get upset if there are sensitive issues in it. So yeah, I don't know. And lots of various thoughts. And I think the one thing that everyone can agree on, even people who hate this change, is that like it's better the episode aired with some change than not airing at all, probably. Like,
yeah, especially since it does have insight into 2 of the characters.
Yeah.
Or 3.
I don't know. I could have done without this creepy episode.
I mean, we get foreshadow. I mean, sure, you're so frustrated by the creepiness that you don't care, but like, yeah, it is nice to get some foreshadowing about Thomas's family, and it's nice to see him kind of slot into the Marcus family.
We also get some foreshadowing on the Damon family.
We get oh no, it's a portrait that's been glared out to not reveal the character design yet.
As I discussed with Jeffrey, like offline, I was like, it literally, there's nothing that changes contextually about what this episode is trying to get off to you by changing it to Citramon versus Bomber/Nanimon or whatever. Like, watching it, I was like, it's the least important part of this episode.
Yeah.
It's the least strange thing about this episode. It's the least anything in this episode.
Yeah. And it also, like, it fits, like, it's not a pure original Japanese Digimon design, but like, I think it fits within the weirdness of the Digimon franchise of designs. Like, in like a giant orange that shoots oranges, like, okay, is that so much weirder than like a sludge monster that shoots sludge and like harasses women? Like,
someone who belongs in the sewers.
But listening to Lost in Translationmon's episode about this episode, Jay's complaint was that like Citramon is like feels out of place because most Digimon, when they have some weird aspect of the design, it's not like the crucial aspect of the personality. That like Togemon is a giant cactus with boxing gloves, but doesn't go around like punching things. And I don't know, I don't really agree, because I feel like
I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this arc, like that's why I feel like this arc in particular, like, it uses Digimon as their primary thing. Like, Togemon is a giant thing of boxing gloves, therefore it boxes. Elecmon has electricity, therefore it does electricity things. Dromogamon has a drill, therefore it does drilly things. Like, I don't know if that like is in all the instances, but like in this arc in particular, they seem to be like, what's the physical attribute? They do that thing. That's why they're here. So
even Garurumon, except Garurumon's not as obvious.
Yeah, it's like,
unless you saw the movie.
It's like Virus Digimon does virusy things. Not really virusy.
Hacking.
Yeah.
I just also think that in previous seasons, it's always been like, the dub certainly is going to change the jokes to be about whatever silly design they have.
Yeah, I guess that might be not as prevalent in the original version.
Yeah, there's always been a dub thing.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I guess people make a big deal out of this because it is such a big visual change, and it like introduces a, like entirely new Digimon into continuity. But Ashley, why should people never meet their heroes?
They will disappoint you in the end. Yes, even when your hero is Ash. Ash has flaws. Let's talk.
Ash has no flaws.
He can't defend himself, apparently.
We may have lost him.
I'm confused about why I'm your hero. When
I
did
don't
that
know.
happen?
'Cause you're Ash.
Andrew made you my hero, so I was like, okay.
Ash, you are our hero because you're my hero in academia.
Oh boy.
That is true. I am the one of us that remains in academia, and that's really unfortunate for me.
It was also an unfortunate joke for me.
Yeah, it was
pretty
unfortunate
bad.
on a lot of levels.
Yeah, I don't think you've made a single good My Hero Academia joke, so maybe you should stop.
Maybe you should try to make Boku no Hero Academia jokes. See how that
Yeah,
goes.
That doesn't make it better.
That hurt Boku no heart, Asher.
Why don't you Boku no shut up, Jeffrey?
Ooh, fantastic. Okay. So, as I've
wait, sorry. Before you jump into like the full, like, I just find I think the lesson of never meeting your heroes because they'll let you down is a fair real life lesson. I think it is an important thing to learn and everything. Like, they're totally reasons why like your heroes, like the things you idolize from a public life are not the thing. Like, everyone has a public and a personal and a private life, and like once like the person that you know is very different than the personality that you know from the outside. And yeah, and it is an important lesson people get when they grow up to understand that. But like, it feels weirdly pessimistic for Digimon to address that. Like, it seems like, I mean, I don't know if I'll cut this out, but we just had a stupid tangent about My Hero Academia. And I feel like that's an interesting like counterexample of this, because it's like My Hero Academia's like theme is so optimistic. And that was definitely starting My Hero Academia when I first read it years ago, whatever. Like, I was like, okay, clearly the point is that Deku was going to meet his hero, All Might, and then be disappointed and then learn that he's just a flawed human being. But instead it's like, okay, there is a flaw there, but like, he's also still great. And like, he's still inspired and like keeps growing from that. And it's just not the kind of series that has the pessimistic message of, if you meet your hero, they will disappoint you. Like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is particularly bad about this. Like, I feel like every season there are like 5 different story arcs, 5 different episodes where someone will meet someone they idolize and they'll be involved in some crime. And but it's a common thing everywhere. And yeah, I just like how My Hero Academia is like, doesn't refute that, but is just more optimistic in general. And is Digimon really the place to also like, that was the title of the episode, but like the lesson wasn't that that Thomas shouldn't have met his boxing hero. Like, it was okay in the end. He was not corrupt or anything.
Sure, but he was also sad because he's like, oh yeah, he's not this great boxer anymore.
So should he have not met him though? Or was it a valuable experience to have met him and learned? Okay,
it's an invaluable experience to have met him and learned. Also, apparently you can just walk up to your heroes on the street and be like, hey, can I jog next to you? And they'll be like, cool.
Just walk up to him in the park and also like punch the air with him as you jog. Is that a thing that boxers do?
I don't know. But hey, that's how Captain America met Falcon. All of these things I just forgot.
I think you mean that's how Captain America met his second boyfriend?
Yes. That is true. Those 2 things I said were not mutually exclusive.
True.
First, I will say I disagree with you about My Hero Academia. I think its biggest flaw is that it is too overly optimistic, and it needs to slow its roll. Deku is boring as character.
Be more negative.
Be more negative. Deku sucks.
Be like the League of Villains or whatever they're called.
I don't know. There's a comfortable medium, and it's called Bakugo. Second, okay, the lesson is you should meet your heroes and then prepare for the biggest disappointment, and it will teach you and you will be a better person afterwards. Is that what you wanted the nuance of this title to encompass?
But I feel like, yeah, it's like, I get that is an important lesson to learn. And like, when everyone learns that for the first time, I think it's an important thing to learn the first time. What I guess I find frustrating is when that is a message that is repeated so often that it's like, we get it, we know. Like, media like doesn't, I mean, maybe it's just because of watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine recently, which is a show Ashley and I both really like, but like
I'm the only one who hasn't watched it.
Has Ashley seen it?
Yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, I didn't know you watched it.
Yeah. I'm not caught up, but yeah. I
think it might just be a particular flaw in that series in particular that they rely on this trope a bunch, because it's like beating a dead horse on it, and then it's like, I wish things didn't need to keep repeating this message. And I guess most media just says it once, and that's okay.
But like, isn't that the horrific thing that we always experience is like in our media culture where we are told to idolize celebrities, and then those celebrities always disappoint us in the end with something, and then they get heavily vilified, and it's just an endless excruciating cycle of nonsense.
What's your point with that? Like, is that wrong for the media to...
Yeah, like you have to keep learning this lesson because nobody actually learns the lesson.
Yeah, because it's like people, this is maybe going off too much of a tangent, but like with all of the recent, I mean, we're recording this on we're recording this on October 22nd, so not sure when this will actually air, but like in the past weeks have been the Harvey Weinstein, not how, like it's come to light all the stuff with that scandal, and not just scandal, like his entire career or whatever of harassing women and stuff. And so like, it just reminds me of like similar things on a smaller scale have happened in like other niche circles like games journalism and stuff. And it's like every time that happens, like when it happened with Nick Robinson and stuff, and it was like someone that people looked up to as being this soft boy who was like progressive and an ally and feminist and stuff. And then they're like, oh no. And it's like, I think it partially happens because people want to look up to male like allies as being like, you're so great, you're like totally unproblematic. And they're like crushed when like they do have some glaring flaw. And then they instead go to the other people that are like like I've seen this a lot with after the Nick Robinson thing. It's like, okay, the McElroy brothers, they're still great, they're still amazing. And it's like the spotlight just kind of shifts, and it's like, okay, let's forget the lesson we learned about not trusting people. And I don't think the McElroy brothers are bad in this. I think they're great. I'm not saying that they like. I think you're saying wrong with like the.
Jeff's like, I don't think there's a dark part in the locker room. Like,
no,
I'm not trying to spread that rumor.
Right, but I think is this like I think there's a fandom need to like, okay, instead of like learning the lesson and not holding people on a pedestal, instead let's just shift the pedestal and put different people on there. And it's like, oh yeah.
And I think the problem with the way that media portrays things is like, as you said, like Hayase is not bad in the end. Marcus is not a bad person in the end. Like he annoys Kristy, and like Kristy gets upset and runs away because social class is garbage and stuff like that. And like I would say Shitori to his son Connor, like Connor really looked up to him and then he disappointed him. The flaw in the way the media portrays this is that like what's wrong with our real world heroes is that because we idolize them so much, when they do something bad, you refuse to believe that what they did was bad, and then you cover it up, which is not how it's ever portrayed in media. This is just like, no, you acknowledged what they did, but what they did was like not actually so bad, and like readily forgive them.
I think there's another thing you haven't really commented on, like another instance of this in the show. It's kind of left dangling at this point, though. I'll just say it's out there. I guess it hasn't really been addressed yet, but like there's Marcus and his missing dad. We don't really know what's up with that, but I can't really talk about it much without spoiling, actually. But like, just say I think there is some aspect of looking up to him, especially with his like wanting to be a man kind of stuff, and the relationship between Marcus and not spoiling things reminds me a lot of Hunter x Hunter and Gon and his looking up to his missing dad. That. From the beginning of that show, it was just like, your dad left you and like you just want to like become a hunter to go and find your dad and be just like your dad. The lesson you should have learned is your dad is terrible and shouldn't have left you, but instead you're like, I'm going to be just like him. It's like, no. And I really just wanted like, it's just, and then, yeah, let's just say in the end, the show was not as pessimistic as I wanted it to be.
Not as pessimistic as you wanted it to be. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I just say, I don't want to spoil how, okay. They do eventually meet and is not as negative. Like I would hope you'd be like, would have learned that like idolizing his father the whole time was bad. And it seemed like right before it happens, there was something that was trending in that direction. And I was really frustrated that it was like, nope, actually, his father was totally good in the end. Yeah.
Cool. So sure, there's also the other aspect of you idolize your heroes and then you want to be just like them. But like, what's the point of that? Like, what does that contribute to the world? And when you realize that they're flawed, then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be just like them. I shouldn't be a carbon copy of them. Cool. Like, let me think of my own thing. I also like that the show acknowledged in Marcus trying to be a silly douche twat who was like, I'm going to come save you, Yoshi. It's like, to be a hero, you do need somebody to reciprocate wanting to be saved or like looking up to you in some way. And like Yoshi does not do that to Marcus. So Marcus to her is just like a schmucky dude.
That's like the worst kind of hero-ness, like trying to be a hero to people who don't want it and actively don't need it. And you are actually removing their agency by forcing it on them. Yeah.
So I appreciated you trying, Digimon. That was my conclusion.
But I feel like we didn't learn from that. We didn't feel like, are you saying like just in general?
Well, that's because, sure, just in general, but like that's because Digimon doesn't want you to like Yoshi. Like,
yeah.
Like that's a greater problem than that one scene could ever solve.
yeah. It's a greater problem, and it's not like I doubt as well as being. We don't want you to like Yoshi. It's more like they just seem to lack an empathy with the female characters. Systematic issue, the whole series.
Yes, and I will say that my overall impression of this arc was that I really, really hated the first 3 episodes, and then the last 3 episodes was like, okay, I can respect you a little bit, Digimon.
And now it is time to start game show Gattai. So in case you don't know, Gattai means like fusion or combination or link in Japanese. So this is a hybrid of 3 games. It's a hybrid of Family Feud, Price is Right, and Newlywed Game, I think. And so we're keeping a running tally over the season. The current score, I'm in first place with 64 points. Ashley's in second place with 25. And then Asher and Andrew are tied in third place. The way this game show works is we have 2 rounds. We have DigiFeud round and then a prediction jurisdiction round. And to choose, each round is a 1-versus-1 battle. And to choose which host gets to participate in the rounds, we have a series of lightning questions that we ask people on Twitter for their opinion. And then we try to Price is Right style guess the percentage of a particular answer. So, lightning question number 1. Which DATS agent would be the most likely to dab? We got 62 votes, and the number 1 answer is Marcus. That's Masaru. Choices were Marcus, Yoshino, or Thomas. So number 1 answer was Marcus, and we all need to predict the percentage that chose that answer. I will guess 60. Ashley?
45.
Asher?
61.
Andrew?
Okay, 44.
No, Andrew, that's not how Price is Right style guessing works. Unless you want to lose.
Fine.
You do
It's
one
too late.
over. Okay. As a reminder for the audience and to Andrew, Price is Right style rules, the optimal strategy is to guess 1 over previous answer. Or in this case, if you think that everyone has gone over, you guess 0, because the rules are guess the closest answer without going over. Instead, Andrew chose the worst strategy. The correct answer was 63%. So Asher. Asher wins. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second lightning question is now Jeffley. Yeah. It's now me, then Ashley, then Andrew. And the question is, which DATS agent would be the most into Digimon Links? Which, in case you don't know, is the recently released in English mobile game for smartphones. And again, choices were Marcus, Yoshino, and Thomas. And the number 1 answer was Yoshino. There were 64 votes. So I will guess first. I will say 60. Ashley.
I'm going to stick with 45 if you're going to stick with 60.
Andrew.
46.
And the answer was 53, which means that Andrew wins.
Wait, but we're the same distance?
Andrew,
you're not listening.
Without going over.
Oh, you can't be over the number. That's why he said you're guessing 44
Andrew,
was stupid.
before next episode, watch The Price is Right.
Never.
That's your homework. It's only you only need to watch the first 5 minutes of an episode. It's on every morning at 11 a.m. with Drew Carey.
I don't have TV.
Hashtag not my Bob Barker. And now it's time for the first round, Digi Feud. The rules are basically like a standard Family Feud question, except we don't have teams, but it is a family feud this time. So we have Asher and Andrew doing a heads up question, and they're going to buzz in with their mouths. Asher and Andrew, are you both ready?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. In honor of Marcus / Masaru wanting to punch a boat, what other form of transportation would you like to see Marcus punch?
Bzzzt.
Asher.
Bus.
Bzzz,
Okay. Andrew, what would you like to guess?
A train.
Ding, ding, ding. That is the number 2 answer with 14%. So, Andrew, that means you win the question. You get to choose whether to play. There are 5 answers on the board. So there are 4 more you have to guess. You get 3 strikes. Or you can pass it to Asher, and then Asher has to guess 4. And if he doesn't guess all 4, then you can steal all of the points. What do you want to do? Play it or pass it?
Play.
Okay. All right. So, Andrew, 4 more answers on the board. What's your first guess? A jet. The answer is a plane with its 4th place with 8%, but we count.
You people are no fun.
You consider plane and jet separate?
No, I thought it would be higher than that.
Oh, yeah. So there's still 3 more.
Okay, so not a bus.
I'm
guessing boat is not on here.
I want Marcus to punch a bus. For me.
Andrew, we can't give you any clues.
Well, there's only so much forms of transportation, so I guess I'll just go with car.
That's your first strike?
I can't pass anymore, can I?
Nope.
Oh.
I mean, if you give up your last 2 choices, then Asher just needs to get 1 right, and then he gets all the points.
Oh, okay. I see how
it's
this
better
plays.
for you to guess and leave 1, so it's harder for him to get it.
Although then Asher will get all the points, whereas if you leave 3 open and then Asher guesses 1 of them, then he'll only get points for 3 of them. But it's harder. Yeah. Strategy.
Bicycle. Seriously? Okay. Seriously, Marcus, you wouldn't want Marcus to punch obnoxious cyclists?
I mean, I should just note that like everything you've guessed has been something that people submitted, just not the most popular.
What is there?
What is there? Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
Are these like general terms for these vehicles?
We normalized it so that if people reference specific instances, you can either if people mention specific vehicles, we normalize it so that it's the category.
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle. Wait, how many strikes do you have?
2.
It's your 3rd strike.
Asher.
Asher, you need to get 3 slots left on the board. You need to guess any one of them to get all the points.
Okay, what was Andrew's last guess? Because mine cut out. My internet cut out.
Bicycle?
No, motorcycle.
No, motorcycle.
Sorry.
I said bicycle
okay.
before.
Bike.
Gotcha,
He guessed a bicycle and a motorcycle. We actually normalized them to be the same thing. So.
Oh, seriously?
And what was another one? There was a third guess that he had.
He also guessed a car. which was wrong.
Right. Okay.
This is tough. And I only get one guess, right?
Yep.
Yes.
It's stuck in my head. It's the only thing I can think of. Blimp.
Seriously, Ash?
Close.
Yeah.
That was actually number 6.
Oh, great.
So the number 1 answer with 25% was a dinghy.
That's
So
a
That's a boat.
yeah, nothing said you couldn't guess another boat.
But
Yeah, exactly.
I think the point of it is that the boat that was going to hit Marcus in the episode was a large boat.
Right.
I think the people who guessed the dinghy are saying that they don't want Marcus to actually get hurt. So
Like they wanted, like you guys, Andrew was like, should I guess another boat? And like, you could, you should, but
I still wouldn't have
I
guessed
think-
a dinghy.
okay, I think honestly, what threw me off was the question. In honor of Marcus wanting to punch a boat, what other form of transportation would you like to see Marcus punch?
Yeah,
so
that's
for me,
exactly the same thing. So I ruled
So
out
it's like-
all other boats or anything
Exactly.
that floats on water.
now you know my anger at the audience all the time.
yeah.
The anger should be at Jeff. for
What?
writing
Why?
those
The
questions.
People read
no, it's not. It's 25% of the audience interpreted it in a way that,
Whatever.
but
I actually
yeah,
think that this question is fairly clear. Like, yes, the way you should read the question is what other form of transportation that should leave out a boat. But clearly, people are dumb. That's what I'm telling you. You worked in
Yeah. customer
Oh,
service.
don't
you
say
know
they're
people
dumb,
are
Ashley. I had actually categorized the answers into, there were a bunch of people chose dinghy, but a bunch of other people said like specific bigger boats. So there was two things. There was a dinghy and a bigger boat.
Did people write in their answers, or did you offer them dinghy as a choice?
No, people wrote in, which
Oh.
confuses me that everyone wrote dinghy.
25% of people wrote dinghy. All right.
This is what
There
I'm
must
saying.
have been
It's
a
weird.
conversation about that.
At least they didn't write
It's a
June.
dinghy again?
It's a little boat.
Like the little thing that
Small
like
boat.
people use to get to the big boat. And then and number 3 with 11% was helicopter. And I'm surprised you didn't think of the number 5 with 8%. Sorry, number 5 with 6% was a spaceship. Come on. Didn't think about spaceship.
Okay. All right. I should have thought about that.
And there were some funny notable answers. There was one of the bigger boat answers was the Titanic. One of them was a Megazord.
That's not a form of transportation. That's a form
Yes,
of,
it is.
the only thing
It's
it
a-
transport is a
it's-
punch to the face.
It's a form of transportation, Andrew. Get off your high horse.
No.
Get off your high Megazord, I think you mean. Also, there was some of the spaceship answers were specifically the Death Star or a Star Destroyer. One of the car answers was a car made of cactuses.
Ow.
I drive that.
Yeah, and so we should also mention thanks to Patreon Dizzy and Lost for helping normalize the answers for us, since we don't know who is going to be participating beforehand. We need someone to help normalize them for us, and he's a great behind the scenes helper. So the winner of that round was Andrew, got 22 points.
Well,
Okay, and now moving on to the second round, we have 2 more lightning questions. We're moving Andrew and Asher to the beginning of the queue. So first off, Andrew, which DATS agent would have the best Twitter account? Choices: Marcus, Yoshino, or Thomas. Number 1 was Yoshino. There were
40 votes.
There were 40 votes. Andrew,
61.
Asher,
40.
I guess 62. Ashley,
No, I'm going to stick with 45, even though it hasn't done anything for me.
again, by Price is Right rules, the optimal choice
Whatever,
is 41.
I'm giving Asher, I want Asher to have a shot at life.
Ashley's really bad about like playing by the optimal strategies in games and gets mad at people if they do play by the optimal strategies.
It's true, that is a character trait of me.
So the
Speaking
correct
of optimal rules, did you hear about the Jeopardy people who won with $1?
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
I did not. We're moving on. The correct answer was 53, which means that Ashley wins despite not playing by the rules. Okay, so now the fourth question, and this will become clear in future installments, but this one is going to be the same every time, and it is, which is the better DATS computer operator? Choices are Miki, the one with purple hair, or Megumi, the one with blonde hair. Last time, Miki got 64%. So what are our guesses this time? Andrew?
64%.
Asher?
Are we voting for Miki?
Oh, sorry, yes, we are voting for Miki.
Okay. 50.
I'm going to guess 51. Okay, and the answer was 59. So I won. Okay.
Wow.
This again.
This again? So
you.
me and you. Yeah, okay. So the people going on to the prediction jurisdiction round are me and Ashley.
So this game is Prediction Jurisdiction, which is based on the Newlywed Game. Ashley and Jeff are our participants, which is funny because they are our, quote, newlyweds, unquote. Not so much, because we don't believe in the institution of marriage around here.
That's right.
And the point of the game is for each of these players to guess the answers that their significant other will provide for the question that we read. The question this time is F, marry, kill these three characters. So choose which one you would F, which one you would marry, and which one you would kill. The three are Samson, Miki, which is the purple one, and Megumi, which is the blonde one. All right, that's your question, guys. Guess who your significant other would guess. Jeff, please go away.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, God.
All right, he's gone. Ashley, what do you think Jeff will answer for F, marry, kill the three members of the DATS thing that are adults?
Oh, God. What would Jeff say?
What would Jeff say?
Whew. Oh, boy. I'm going to get this horribly, horribly wrong. It'll be
funny.
It'll be super funny. So, okay. Wow. Okay. I'm going to go with F, Samson. Mary, I don't know, Miki.
That's the purple one. That's the purple one. Okay.
And then kill Megumi, I guess. Yeah, why not? What would I say?
Right. What are your answers, Ashley? Who would you F, marry, kill?
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with. What am I gonna go with? Wait a second. I'm gonna go with. I will F Miki.
The purple one.
The purple one. I'm gonna kill Samson.
I knew you would.
Yeah, you know me. I guess I'm left with Megumi. Sure, why not?
All right. Let's invite Jeff back.
Hello.
He's back.
It turns out not being able to hear Ashley is hard because my headphones are loud even when I take them out, and she talks in real life. So I mostly just heard shouting and laughing and stuff. So.
Oh well. Well, her answers are locked in, so It's your turn. What are your answers for the following question? F, marry, kill, Samson, Miki, and Megumi.
All right. Miki's blonde and Megumi's... No, Miki's purple, Megumi's blonde.
Miki's purple. We should have just said purple and blonde instead of their names. I don't think their names
are treatment of girls in this show. So
yeah, I don't know if they went through, but Ash said something like their names probably aren't even said in the show, which
they are said in the show. Just they at least said Miki at one point, and I was like, okay, I already immediately forget which one that was a reference to.
Okay, so I think I can't put up. I don't care about either of them in a long-term, lasting way. So I think I'd kill the blonde one, F the purple one, and marry Samson.
Damn, I got one.
You got one.
I'm surprised, actually.
Yeah.
Which one did you get?
I got you.
She got that you would kill Megumi, which is the one I thought she would be wrong about, actually.
I really thought you were going to F Samson. I was really, gunning for that.
Okay, I knew he wasn't going to F Samson.
Yeah, why?
Why would you?
Why would you marry him? I hate that guy.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, I don't know. None of them are that attractive. None of them are that attractive, but I guess Samson would be the most attractive, but also I wouldn't put that over. I wouldn't rather that and then be stuck with one of the other ones for life. So.
Wow. All right. Well, would you like to guess what Ashley answered?
Okay, I'm going to say she said F Samson, marry Megumi, the blonde one, and kill Miki, the purple one.
You also only got one right.
Which one?
Megumi.
We both got Megumi right. I just said I hate Samson. I killed that man.
Oh, but I figured
What is wrong with you people?
I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. He's a weird, creepy little creature, has a scarf all the time. No.
Wearing fur is bad, people.
So Ashley and I both got 25 points from that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for the first round, Andrew got 22, which means that all right, so the new totals now are me in first place with 89, Ashley in second place with 50, Andrew in third place with 22, and Asher in fourth place with 0.
I would like to point out that there's a little bit of, I think, a suspicious coincidence
Okay.
that Jeff is winning when he makes the game.
It's rigged, I tell you.
That's true on many levels. But like the one level I tried to, like, I actually keep thinking, if I keep being ahead like this, maybe I'll change. Because like I think of the questions is the thing. So like in theory, I could have lots more time to think about answers. But because I think about so many, like I think preparing these questions, preparing recaps, or aka like all these different things, I don't actually think about them any longer after I say them, after I like write it down. But there's the potential there, so maybe people might not trust me.
No. I don't think that you have more time to think about the questions. You constructed the game.
The game master.
I am Monokuma.
All according to Keikaku. What?
You don't sound a thing like Monokuma.
Oh God.
Andrew sounds more like Monokuma. That was good.
That scared me though.
You can be a shooting star.
Unanswered questions. I have to talk for 5 minutes. Let's get them out.
How does anyone know anything about things that happen when they're not in earshot?
What?
is that
So
recurring thing
many
that happens?
times. It was a recurring thing that happened this arc. Marcus knew about something. Like, he knew that the guy was Thomas's hero, even though Thomas didn't say that to Marcus. He said it to Gaumon. Is Marcus Gaumon? That's my unanswered question.
Ooh, good theory there.
Why isn't Marcus Gaumon's partner?
No, that's not my question.
I mean, I have a related frustration to this question, which is like, why does everyone care about boxing? Like, that is suddenly a thing. I mean, it's like, I was explaining to Ashley this, that like, it kind of reminds me of like in sports anime where it's like, in the world of IQ, all of the important people in the school also love volleyball. In whatever sport anime, like, it's always true that like, they're, I don't know. So it's like, in this anime, Marcus cares about punching people in boxing, so everyone else cares about boxing and punching, even though it doesn't really seem to fit with Thomas at all. I guess it's most striking in things like Death Note, actually, where it's like, Death Note, and actually Light is a tennis player, and so is L. And it's like, what? Really? That's a weird coincidence there.
Not really. Lots of people play tennis, and it's easy to pick up, sort of.
But what am I thinking? Oh, I'm also thinking like, Neo Yokio, which is the best example of things. It's like the main character plays field hockey, so of course his rival also plays field hockey. It just seems like it's an easy trope to be like, oh, main character likes this, so the other person does too. But yeah, Gaumon is much more of a punchy Digimon, and Marcus is a punchy human. Nope, don't think about it too hard. How did the boxer, like, champion win the match, but with injuries that should have ended his career? Like, shouldn't...
Because the other person was injured?
Right, but, like, can you... Like, the other person would have been injured more, right? That's how...
It wouldn't have been as obvious.
But I just mean that, like, presumably... I don't know, it just seems like a stretch to be like, he won, but also hurt himself for good. Like, I don't know. It was a stretch.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, it's vaguely possible. It just seemed...
It's unrealistic, but it's possible.
Digimon strides itself on realism. Prides itself? I said strides itself. Why is there actually a Digimon that is just Bakumon with a mage's hat? Like,
because it's a different species.
It's just a Bakumon with a hat.
Yeah, it's a totally different species of Digimon now.
I actually wondered if that was like another dubism of like adding a hat or something for some reason. Like, I don't know, maybe he had a pentagram on his forehead and they're like, oh no, we can't have a pentagram, so let's put a hat on.
No, it's really a Digimon that just has a hat on.
And he has a swole forearm. That's also there.
He has a what?
A swole forearm. I'm trying to say swole forearm, but I can't say it. He has a big arm.
Oh.
Only realized just now that I was muted. I've been shouting a lot. And I was like, why are you responding to me?
I'm so sorry, Ashley.
That reminds me, there was a bit in the first episode of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which came back, the season started like last week, and there's a character who like suggests an idea, and everyone's like, oh, that's an amazing idea. I'm so glad I thought of it. And then she's just like, is everyone, like, can no one hear me? Am I dead? Like, what's going on?
I was like, yeah, when you put on a hat, you're a different person. And you, like, didn't respond to it at all. And I was like, why?
It's because you were invisible, audioly, verbally.
Yes. And then I realized.
Apparently, there's a Soulmon last season, too.
What? In Frontier?
In front.
Yeah.
Like, in a random background?
A background character.
So we just thought it was a Bakumon accessorizing.
Yeah, I just thought it was.
It's in our favorite
Agumon
episode.
Has accessory. He's not an Agumon.
But he's Agumon 2006.
He does have the arm, too, I guess.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
He's a different species of Agumon.
He's a...
He's still Agumon.
Why was the sun, the manju bun shop sun, like, just had the thing you press the manju buns into while they were just sitting at the river to tell a story? What was it?
Why not?
It just carries it everywhere, I guess. Like,
It's just item.
You don't carry items important to you?
It's like his like security blanket, like Linus or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you can kill someone with it.
I have a question about this Agumon.
Yes.
And why does his head heat up when he has to attack, but only sometimes?
Because his fire is accumulating.
That doesn't happen with the other Agumon. And again, it only happens sometimes.
It's when they have the budget to
When they have the budget to turn his head up red.
to like use the Photoshop bucket fill thing.
It's a different attack, apparently, that's more powerful.
It's more fiery.
Actually, it is more fiery.
Asher, do you have any more?
I don't
You were
buy
passionate
this.
initially, and then you died down.
I don't usually ask unanswered questions.
Okay.
How was that ship able to stop? That's BS and no.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's not how ships work. That's not how water and ships work, okay?
Actually, I'm having flashbacks to that one trip you went on where you had just read about container ships, and all you could talk about was container ships.
Oh yeah, that was Hawaii. So yeah, I do remember that.
Why did it take this long for anyone to figure out that Digimon are connected to emotions?
Yeah, okay. I can kind of defend that. And like, we've seen everything from the full perspective. You know, like we've seen the Digimon and how they come into the world and everything. So like, I do get it'd be harder to put that all together when they're not seeing the whole perspective. And the only time they do is when they're there for the whole thing. Like Thomas gets the theory once he's there, and Kristy is the one who instigates or whatever.
But they should have figured this out after episode 2.
Which one was episode 2? Episode 2 was
Kunamon.
Yeah, but okay. If there's been a prior history of these incidents, and like, then yeah, that's another pattern. But if it was the first time, I could see that like that's not the conclusion you would definitely come to. You would assume from just one data point that it was random.
But they don't even bring it up. They only use examples from this arc when talking about it.
I think it is fair. Okay, it's weird to not bring it up. I don't think they list, because there were lots of examples. I think they only brought up like 2, and that was just weird because like there is a longer history. But yeah, yeah. But
also, why is everything like? Why do they come from like just electrical occurrences, not like internet based?
I mean, like I said before, this is comparing it to Cyber Sleuth. Like everything here is actually like pretty analog. The problems aside from Garurumon and the like iTunes chart hacking, which I thought was actually a really clever way to like use digital systems in a way that's like, it's not like, yeah, it was a totally plausible thing to have someone do based on their greed and everything. And I like that use of Digimon, but Digimon have always been bad about actually being particularly digital. And something we didn't note in the first episode, but I noticed it from listening to Lost in Translation, they like talked about how the digital world in this season, at least from that initial glimpse, does feel a lot more digital than it did in Frontier or even Tamers. Tamers had like weirdness in places, but it was like each individual area was kind of just like a place that was something more bizarre, but they weren't like bizarre in a really digital way. And this feels like there's like, you know, like the pixelated river and things like that are actually reminiscent of digital things. But yeah, the Digimon themselves are just like, there's nothing digital about Dromogomon. It's just a drill dude and all that stuff. And like that's kind of how Digimon has always been. It's kind of a unfortunate missed potential, but I think Cyber Sleuth is really the only one that does it.
For Vilemon, uses the electricity from a antique radio of all things.
Are they all tied to electricity? Because I forgot about that with Vilemon. I only remembered Elecmon.
Elecmon and Vilemon definitely use electricity. There's usually like a surge of electricity somewhere.
It's weird that for Vilemon too. Okay, and Elecmon makes total sense.
Actually, I think even Soulmon came from the lights in like the chandelier lights.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous draft, baby.
Where we each go around and pick our funniest, most ridiculous, or most touching line from the episode. We're going to do one, the Hunger Games.
What is about this is the Hunger Games?
The Hunger Games.
Okay.
Asher's going first.
I'm going first, which is great because I only have 2. All right, this is from episode 7. It's towards the end of it is the end of the episode. When Thomas is having dinner once again with Marcus's family, like a family stealing leech. And he steals Marcus's... Actually, it wasn't Marcus's. He steals the last bit of fried egg. Marcus says,
"No fair, Thomas! You took advantage of my temporary confusion!"
Your confusion is never temporary, Marcus.
And then Marcus says, "That does it, no dessert for you."
Ashley,
right, but that part wasn't funny.
Ashley, you don't need to one-up everyone.
Yes, she does.
Why don't you just go then, Jeffrey? Why don't you just go?
So, okay, I'm gonna pick the one that doesn't really like contribute or add to the conversation much, as like it's an obvious joke, and I'm sure by the time this episode comes out, we'll have made it on social media several times or something. And it's like, sure, but I'm just gonna claim it for the points. And in case people haven't seen the episodes recently, I need a reminder of it. But it's in episode 10, which is Marcus's curse episode, and they go to the boat. Marcus goes to the boat, and he's like,
It's fighting time!
You're talking to a boat.
and it was amazing. It was the best quote in all of Digimon.
Okay. Andrew.
Okay, this is not particularly funny, but I just love the little quip between Kudamon and Samson. So Kudamon is complaining that...
What episode? What episode? Tell me what episode.
This is episode 7, and this is after Thomas defeats Citramon, and Kudamon is like,
"He disobeyed your orders. What will you do?"
I'm going to sit here and enjoy the fireworks.
Okay.
and it's just the way he says it. Like, I'm not listening to you.
Well, that's the theme of the show. Nobody listens to anybody else.
I'm not listening to the little scarf. I don't care if you're a spoiler.
I feel obligated to pick the America quote, so I'm going to do it. So in episode 11, prior to Manju Bun talking, we have not yet found out that Agumon has eaten them. Oh yes, they're discussing that Thomas is going to investigate stuff elsewhere. And they're like, he's gone to America to do it. Agumon says,
Hey, boss, what is America?
Why's he get a vacation?
He's on an investigation.
Hey, don't ignore me.
I wanted to go too. I heard the west coast of America is all warm and sunny.
Someone tell me what America is. Can you eat it?
and I'm like, yes, you can. Please do.
Please do.
Please do, Agumon.
High five across the internet. Across the several oceans.
And land masses.
And land those aren't important.
Yeah.
If Agumon eats America, there will be less distance between us.
Okay. Well, first Marcus has to punch America, and then Agumon can eat it.
Yeah, and then Agumon can eat it. Exactly.
Just a reminder, everyone, to Digimon go to the polls and vote on our episode page at pettage.com/502. You can vote on your favorite ridiculous dialogue draft pick, and it will inflate our egos, and we'll keep scoring up at the end of the season. So vote for your favorite one. It is time for... That was pretty quiet, actually. Let me boost that audio. Give Trubimon some gains. There we go. I like that, Trubimon. Yeah.
Now you talked over him.
Oh, it's fine. I like it. I'm doing the creepy like Trubimon. I like him. Anyway, so any last thoughts before we close up this arc?
Okay, wait. I didn't point out the most garbage exchange that Digimon has ever had for me, and it was Kristy. What does Kristy say exactly? Something about why do boys have to be so boyish or something? And then
why do boys have to act like boys?
Yeah, and then Sarah replies. You want to say it, Ashley?
No, you probably remember it better than I do.
Oh, don't worry, Kristy. One day you'll be glad they do.
Yeah. No! False! This is when I started hating you.
Yeah. That was not a good moment for anyone.
Yeah, it was like, even on the level it's going for, it's like, that's a weird joke to make. Like...
Boys will be boys. No, get out of my face.
Someday you'll be sexually attracted to them because of that. Someday they'll be so annoying and ignore you and won't listen to you so much that you will want to bang them.
Yeah,
No. One thing we didn't really talk about is teamwork, and I thought how like it kept bothering me in the episodes that like people would, I think it was also in the last arc too, that people would compliment Thomas and Galmon for having such great teamwork, and I was always like, they're not a team. He just tells them what to do and then he does it. But then I started to second guess myself because I'm like, that's not, it is kind of teamwork. They are working as a team, and then I realized like I always kind of thought like, especially maybe it's just because of like anime like this, like shonen or kids anime, like teamwork always goes hand in hand with mutual decision making. And I was like, so does teamwork need, like, because they do work well as a team, they aren't partners, they aren't mutual, they aren't in the same level. Is that wrong? I don't know.
I mean, you are on a team at work. It has a manager who tells you what to do. Is it not just that?
I guess
like,
so.
Teams have captains. Like sports teams have captains.
I feel like the inevitable conclusion is going to have to be I assume it's going to happen later, that like they'll learn to put each other on more equal footing. Maybe not. I guess it's interesting to not do that. So
I look at it as everybody on this team, like within their pairs, there's some overlap in personality that makes it easier for them to get along. Then perhaps within the DATS squad, they are all very different, but like to digivolve their differences more to achieve the goals. How I looked at it.
Okay, wait. In terms of like they're all each of the three members being pretty different, I actually find it pretty frustrating how I feel like at multiple points in this arc, they set up the obvious way you would expect, like Thomas being the rational, scientific genius one, and Marcus being the hot-headed, superstitious, probably because he's kind of dumb one. Like they actually subverted that multiple times to the point where I'm like, I don't even know who cares about what anymore. Like because like
I didn't say it was executed well. I just said it.
I know, but I'm just like I find that frustrating. That like Thomas is the one who like initially, and then actually talk this offline, but like he kind of was joking about it, but he kind of was believing in the curse, and Marcus was the one who didn't believe in the curse, and like Marcus was the one who was skeptical of the boxer when it seemed like Marcus would be the type of personality who would defend a fighting champion, and Thomas was the one who was defending it. So it just seemed like they flip-flopped to be like, oh, you expect faux Yamato to be the more rational one, but he's actually not. And it's like, I just don't even know who is anything what anymore.
Well, Thomas in this instance wasn't rational because he looked up to Boxer Dude.
Right, but yeah.
Which is weird because I just don't really see Thomas as like, even though he has Galmon, I'm like, Thomas doesn't seem like the dude to be into boxing, but okay.
Yeah,
like,
no. Just like L shouldn't be into tennis, but
well, okay, no, because tennis is a more high-class, pretentious sport that I assume people in Death Note would be more into. But like boxing is a lower class sport, and Thomas has clearly been shown to be the upper class person here. So like I'm just like, that's a big disconnect to me.
It does feel more like a big stretch.
Yeah.
Something that I didn't really think about as a like aspect of this arc until I heard it pointed out on Lost in Translation is like that this is one of the first times that we've had like an early arc that is not a Digivolution arc. Like they have their Digivolution. Like I mean, Marcus gets his on the first episode, but the arc is not about them getting Digivolutions. Like they show them all in the first 3 episodes, and then it's just like them using them. How do people feel about that?
I mean, that's fine. That's refreshing. I question perhaps why they're not like, why can't you Digivolve further? But I guess they've also never seen a Digimon Digivolve further than Champion. Is that true?
So far, they've just seen Champions, and they might think it's just how partnering with the Digimon is.
It's fine.
I like it. I mean, I like it because what it lets us do in the wake of having a Digivolution arc is what we talked about, the CSI kind of investigations, and I like how that opens the door to character studies, even if it doesn't do it particularly well. But
I mean, I think that was part of the problem of Tamers was that arc was so slow and boring anyway. So it's like, yeah, don't focus on that. That's boring. Who cares?
Yeah. On the one hand, it's like that arc, the Digivolution arc in Tamers was the most like well tied into the kids' emotions, and like it wasn't just a single episode catharsis kind of thing like every other season had. But on the other hand, by extending it felt so long and drawn out and like boring and whatever is a natural way to feel about that. Do we feel like the Digimon are more or less characters this time around?
Yes, except Lalamon. But Yoshi.
I feel like it's just Agumon.
Well, Galmon doesn't get enough screen time.
Yeah, I think Galmon got a little more characterization this time than he did. He had lines besides "Sir, yes, sir," even though most said was still, sir, yes, sir.
I kind of like how
sir, yes, sir.
I've been trying to watch the Japanese version without any subtitles or anything to practice Japanese, and I like how Japanese says like, yes, master. It's just like whenever people say English, I appreciate it because I can understand it. But anyway, yeah, I feel like Agumon like has personality, but he doesn't have time to exhibit it, and so it's just like I am subordinate to Thomas. There's that one scene where Agumon's going all Pokeball hikikomori, and Gamon's there to like try and convince him to get out, and I feel like it's the only time that we really got like a extended scene with the Digimon doing anything.
Well, he called it disgraceful.
Also, Lalumon gets like some witty jabs in about Yoshino.
No, but that's exactly what you think is faux Yoshi having characterization as her being sassy, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fall for this, Digimon. You can't trick me. Stop it.
This is just a side note, but it's something I forgot to mention in episode 501, but it's the reveal, the first episode where they think the entire time that Agumon was the one to punch up the dudes, and then actually Marcus is like, oh yeah, that was me, haha, and it's like, oh, then I guess Agumon isn't a threat. And it's like, the more I think about it, the more it falls apart, because it's like, wait, so if Agumon beat up dudes, he would be a threat. If Marcus did it, he's not? That's not bad?
How is Marcus not arrested?
Right, like the whole
Marcus is good.
But the whole premise of why the Digimon need to be stopped is because they're violating human laws. And like presumably if they came in and coexisted, fine, they wouldn't need to be doing this because they're violating human laws. But as soon as they actually do the exact same thing, they get very different moral standards applied to them. And it's a funny joke.
Welcome to the problems of a simulation.
I don't know if it's a simulation. It's just like it's the othering of the Digimon. Like Digimon has a constant problem of like the way it treats Digimon, and just in the way that we refer to the digital world and the real world, already present in that. And it's not so much a problem with Digimon as like inherent to the way we think about everything. Yeah, this is the last random side note, but like the Connor, the Manjubun son guy, did anyone else think he looked like so 90s anime? I don't know what it was about him, but no? Okay.
He had weird eyes compared to everybody else.
Didn't May compare him to Keitaro from Love Hina?
He did look like Keitaro from Love Hina. It was very strange.
Off-brand Keitaro.
I have not seen Love Hina, so I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
But we didn't really talk about this I guess we didn't have like a gender segment or anything, but that whole Shitori Manjubun thing like centers around the mom's illness, who was completely off screen and not shown at all. It's like the ultimate fridging of like using female characters for motivation who are like central to everything, but like are never even shown, never even drawn. Ugh.
Oh, well, I was also upset when Yoshino goes and undercover as a journalist and is like, we're interviewing the wives of professional athletes. I'm like, okay, assumption that there are no female professional athletes. Cool.
Which, I mean, to be fair, probably was the case in 2004 Japan boxing scene.
2007.
I don't think she did not say just boxing, though. It was like generally like athletes.
Yeah, and it's a dub line, and it's a dumb dub line. Anyway, so now that we've locked any last thoughts before we lock in our MVPs? Who wants to tell me my MVP?
What?
I don't know my answer.
I tell you my MVP.
Yeah, okay, Ashley, what's your MVP? Who's your MVP?
Hayase Harris.
Hayase, the combat butler?
No.
That's Hayate. Oh, yeah,
so
that makes more sense.
Good job. I liked that he was moral, upstanding man boxer. Great.
But Ashley, are we human or are we boxer?
Boxer.
Boxer, definitely. Ash, you're going now.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, sure. Who's your MVP?
I didn't have one until Ashley said Hayase, and I'm going to have to agree with Ashley.
Yes! Hayase, best character!
Hayase Harris. I'd watch a movie about Hayase Harris.
Yeah, Rocky 7. Hayase
that
Harris.
Already exists, actually.
I forget what number we've got.
Rocky definitely had 7 movies, and then there was Creed, which was actually very good.
Andrew, who's your favorite character?
Miki, because apparently the end of the Manju episode hints that she did not eat in at least a week because she was that mad at Agumon.
And they also, like, Marcus multiple times points out that he can't go back to DATS until he gets the Manju. So it's like, has he just not been doing his part-time job the whole time? Like, I guess the whole week or whatever, his job has been to pester.
I was very confused about timeline there, but
yeah, Miki is that dedicated to being mad at someone.
Cool. I mean, that sounds like me. I could dig it. anytime I got mad at a character, I was kind of like, you know what? No, that would be me. Like Kristy, I was like, oh, Kristy, you're being annoying. And I was like, no, it's fine.
I would have reacted the same way. I really can't. No character really stood out as like a character I loved or anything. And I think it kind of is going to be by default Agumon. Because, okay. Agumon's pretty good in general. It's like more like, well, no one else really stood out. So, what was that?
Safe bet, Agumon.
I guess so. And yeah, so these were our MVP picks for episode 502. And a reminder that if you participate in the fantasy draft for 502, then you could get points and win stuff at the end of the season. At this point, by the time we record, we haven't figured out the prizes. It would probably be Savers, a Data Squad box set, and something else. And yeah, so you can also, if you're listening to this now, soon after we released it, you can submit fantasy draft picks for episode 503. So if you're listening to this now, everyone's listening to this now. That's how listening works. If you're listening to this soon after we released it, hopefully we'll be releasing this episode within about a week. So hopefully you have time to submit fantasy draft picks for 503, and you submit a data squad of a human and Digimon, and if we pick either of them as our MVP, then you get points. You also vote on our most ridiculous, and our most we wish were actually a squad teams. And the last thing before we close out Terminal Judgment, Ashley, where do you think the story will go next?
Okay, so there is that Native American looking kid in the opening with Falcomon, and there was mention of Falcomon, so like he has to come in soon, I assume, in the next arc, perhaps. Now they know that humans are causing these things. I guess they'll probably go to the digital world to do more investigation about why that is. I assume that there will be a big evil Digimon that is revealed.
So I'm curious why you think, because another character of the Digimon is a trope the Digimon has done several times before, and is usually much later on. Like I'm thinking Kari doesn't get revealed as the 8th suggestion until like 30s. And
that's not true. She totally gets revealed in episode 24.
They show that she has a device in episode 21, but like actually joining the team and everything and getting a partner and stuff doesn't happen until 30s. And Ken doesn't until like I think like the mid 20s when they defeat Chimeramon and stuff. And I don't know who qualifies in 10.
I didn't say that he would join the team immediately. I said he would be revealed.
Okay, but so like even the reveal though, like why do you think it's going to be revealed so soon?
Well, because they said it in the they said Falcomon.
They said there's a Falcomon. Okay. So you already knew what Falcomon looks like, and okay, you matched up with that. Okay.
Falcomon is in the opening.
Yeah, okay.
With that kid. Yeah, I'm not a dummy.
Your powers of prediction are so powerful that you...
No, yeah, the recap told me that there was going to be a Falcomon. I put two parts together.
It's time to recommend some articulans. It's a recommendation articulation. Cool. Ashley, what do you want to recommend this week?
I'm going to recommend that you listen to my newish podcast, Shoujo and Tell, that will be out by the time this episode comes out. It's about shoujo manga, which is a lot broader than Digimon. That's fun.
A lot broader and also manga. Niche in another way.
Niche in another way. The first few episodes will cover Revolutionary Girl Utena, Cardcaptor Sakura, Maid-sama with Asher, and then I have a recording scheduled for, I always mess up what this is called, Mary Puri? I don't know. The one that's by the Vampire Knight lady. Yeah. It's gonna be dope.
By the time this episode comes out, it'll have been out for a while, a couple weeks.
I don't know when this episode is coming out. Yeah. When we're recording this, I have released nothing. I plan to release a teaser within the next 2 to 3 days. Perhaps when this is out, there will be a few episodes. So
by the time this comes out, it'll be like the #1 podcast in iTunes. Like
yeah, totally.
It'll be parodied on SNL. Yeah, it'll be the new serial. Should tell the new serial. He says their tagline.
No.
Asher, what do you want to recommend?
I am going to recommend. It is a snack that you can get in Israel. It is called Beastly, and what?
Okay.
It comes in a few different flavors. My favorite is pizza, but not because it's pizza flavored. I think it's the crunchiest and best like texture and shape of the various kinds that are available. The falafel one has the best flavor though. Anyway, they're the crunchiest snack you can get on the planet. I don't know how they do it. I checked the ingredients, and it's just wheat flour. And I mean, whatever other stuff they use. But it's good. I recommend it to Ashley and Jeff in particular when they come to visit me next month. And you can get it in the States. It might be hard to find. You might need to go to like a kosher market, maybe an Israeli market. I don't know where people get it, but I know you can get it because I had it in Philly.
It looks kind of like it's just like deep fried pasta.
Oh, I've seen this at like Publix.
Is it deep fried pasta?
It's not deep fried pasta, but it's good. Deep fried pasta is also good.
Andrew, what do you want to recommend?
I'm going to recommend a song for a game that will be out already by the time this episode comes out. So I'm recommending Jump Up Superstar, the song from Super Mario Odyssey, sung by the Super Mario players featuring Kate Davis, and I am recommending it because it is a great throwback song from like old big band type music from like the 40s and 50s, and it actually gets you hyped up for a game, which is weird.
I can't decide between two things, but I'll go with the one that is more could actually convince people by recommending it. So I'll recommend the return of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend for season 3. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is, I think I recommended it before when I watched it, when I found it initially, and it's a wacky, way too upbeat comedy with a bizarre premise. And don't look past the title; it's a stupid, problematic title, which the show winks and nods at being problematic several times in the show itself. It's a fun, optimistic, cheery kind of like musical comedy. It's like a drama format, but is more like a sitcom in humor level and has like 2 to 4 musical numbers each episode. And they are fun and weird. And there's some really good musical humor in that. And it just came back for season 3 when we recorded this, which will probably be a couple weeks ago when you're listening to this. But it's good. And season 3, episode 1 was pretty good. So hopefully it stays good. It's totally worth watching all the episodes. I think they're shorter seasons, so it's easier to catch up. And I think it's on Hulu? Maybe not. It's on the CW app. Yeah, CW does it. This has been Podages 502, covering Digimon Data Squad episodes 6 through 11. What did you think about this arc? What did you think about our reaction? Did you hate our discussion of localization and you think that everything that has changed is bad and terrible and Citramon should burn in breakfast hell? Do you think that... What else do we talk about?
Do you want to meet all your heroes and then hero worship them?
Yeah, what do you think about the trope of meeting heroes and always being disappointed? Is that a good thing in Digimon or not? Let us know your thoughts about anything we talked about. You can leave a comment in our comment section at podages.com/502. You can send us thoughts on social media. We are Podages on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. You can also email your thoughts to podages@gmail.com. Leave a comment in the With the Will thread, in the general discussion subforum, and you can also, we have a thread for the r/Digimon subreddit where you can leave a comment. Or you can meet your heroes and be so disappointed that we feel it in the air. We feel a Digisoul, the DNA charge in the air. And you should also go to the episode page, podages.com/502, to vote on your favorite ridiculous dialogue draft pick and to rate the episodes in this arc so we know how much people liked it and liked them.
You can also answer our voicemail question if you want to be featured in the next feedback episode. The question is, if your emotions summoned a Digimon to the real world, which Digimon would it be? And what would the Digimon do? Submit your voicemail by emailing an audio recording of 90 seconds or less to podages@gmail.com.
Special thanks to Citramon for our new Agumon logo for Season 5, and to our prodigious Patreon supporters who help make everything we do possible. Special thanks go out to our current champion Patramon, Diabjomon, who is at Tokujo on Twitter, the infamous Tokujo on Twitter, said it wrong, Dizzy Dizumi, at Dizzy and Lost on Twitter, Joe Keto, Kailunamon, and Sam Agumon, who's also on the Moncast, which covers Pokemon and Digimon. 2 Mons for the price of 1. Our ultimate Patramon, Andy Lusamon, David Graumon, and Michael Penne, and our mega Patramon, Marcus, who I can only assume goes around punching stuff.
If people want to follow us on the internet, Ashley, where can they find you?
I'm at AshMcD00 on Twitter, and you can follow Shoujo and Tell on Twitter at Shoujo and Tell.
And Asher, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
In Israel.
Whoa, creepy.
Have you been still doing Tumblr at all?
I think my queue ran out a while ago. It's still there. I still fill it occasionally, but my internet's been really bad. It's just very hard to find me right now.
Andrew, if you want to find you, where can they find you?
They can find me on some platform called Twitter as Drew Softman.
And if you want to find me, I am definitely Jeff on Twitter. And also, you can follow Podigus on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook at Podigus. And also check out, I've been launching way too many spin-off Podigus Twitter accounts. There's Podigy eBooks, which takes our recaps and makes machine Markov chain AI. I'm not talking words. It uses a Markov machine learning technique to generate new recaps that mishmash all the seasons together. And sometimes they are really funny, and sometimes they don't make any sense whatsoever. There's also DigiPunch, which is kind of inactive now while we're recording, but while we actually are releasing episodes, we'll be doing a new Marcus GIF punching every day. And there's No Context Digi, which going to be out of context Digimon screenshots, and I don't know that one. I'm not sure if that one's going to be worth keeping up or not. But if it still exists when you're listening to this, go follow it. If I haven't cut this out when I edit it, go follow it.
Share the podcast with all the heroes you haven't met, and don't share the podcast with shady characters trying to sell you a get-rich-quick scheme involving butt injections.
And join us in 2 weeks as we start some plot with the first half of the new Digimon arc with Data Squad episodes 12 through 19. Bye.
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 And remember, never stop digivolving.
Asher, we're gonna see you in less than a month.
Cool.
It's crazy.
Come enjoy my beautiful, beautiful beachside city, I guess.
I was like, well, we're not enjoying your apartment.
No. You would not have room to enjoy my apartment.
Exactly.
Yes. Although at least you would have had, what's it called? Hot water.
What's interesting is that Marcus's question of have the characters changed enough for you to like them, but he hasn't heard our thoughts from episode 1. He doesn't know that.
He knew.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if he was on the last stream, because I definitely I did it by myself, and I was like, I don't like these people.
Sorry. Can you repeat that, Ashley?
I don't like it.
Thank you, Ashley Koji. Koji Ashley.
Koji Ashley.
That's my ship of Ashley and Koji.
Agumon becomes a Hikikomori.
Wait, Ashley, sorry. I was talking when you started.
I'm gonna punch you.
One punch.
I could have lent you the PS TV, except you don't have a TV.
I have a TV.
Oh, you do?
I don't know if it would. I mean, it's mounted on the wall. I don't high above the. Forget it. You would see if you would visit me.
Nah, I'm good.
Ashley.
Nobody wants
Ashley.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
I'm trying to think of something to accuse you of.
No.
I can't.
Ashley reads too much shoujo manga.
You've been reading too much shoujo manga.
It's like the biggest lie ever. I haven't touched a manga in a month.
Ashley, how much shoujo manga have you read?
In my lifetime?
This is way too loud, isn't it?
What is happening?
It's the class trial music.
In V3?
No, this is V2. I couldn't find I have the sound. There are 2 different soundtracks of V3.
There's no such thing as V2.
Jeffrey, I haven't read a manga since I did the last recording with Asher. I haven't read a shoujo manga since then.
But how much Nisekoi have you read?
Well,
let's go into a minigame to figure it out.
What?
Hangman's Gambit.
Oh.
No!
Speaking of Nisekoi, there's a mystery right there that takes forever.
Yeah, that part's not important. That part's not
A.
important at all. A. What?
V. O.
Stop. I hate you.
I was spelling out a volume. Hangman's Gambit's pretty bad.
Jeff said A, and I was like, A, what's that?
Okay, enough with that diorama. We tried to make the podcast diorama. I thought it worked well, but... Oh boy. I probably can't include that in the podcast file because they would get pulled from YouTube.
But
see them-
Ash goes to school now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? What?
Oh, sorry.
Goes to school in Alola.
I thought you meant like our Ash, and I was like, yeah, he's
No.
he's been in school for a while. What are you talking about? Okay, in the Sun and Moon anime, he goes to school.
What?
How do you not know this?
I haven't watched it.
I don't know this either.
You haven't seen the screenshots? Gee, I actually remember hearing much more about that being a thing before it started airing in like promos and stuff. Has it been a thing throughout?
It's been like at least 30 episodes now.
No, but I mean,
He
like,
goes to school like every day.
right? Like, is the school actually integrated into the show very heavily?
Yes.
Okay.
He goes to class with like all like 4 of the trial captains.
It's just so bizarre because it's like your
And
summer
Lily.
vacation to Hawaii, where you will go to school. Like,
I mean,
There's
is
not
it the
much to
same
explore.
Ash? Like,
Yeah,
is
same Ash.
Ash
Okay,
and
so they
Pikachu
just, like,
go to
reboot
school.
him? I'm so bizarre.
are you saying it's bizarre, Ash, because kids can't have an interest in knowledge and learning and improving themselves?
Yeah. What I learned in class today is that kids aren't people. They don't count as people.
What?
That's why they're exempt. That's why they're exempt from fasting on Yom Kippur. They're just not people.
Oh,
That's what we decided.
Asher, are you actually excited to do stuff in Tel Aviv with us, or are you just humoring me?
No,
I assume Ash
I'm
hasn't had time to do
excited.
stuff himself in Tel Aviv yet.
I have not done stuff myself in Tel Aviv. I only go to Tel Aviv for school.
Okay, so
Like, I haven't
staying
really
there will make
explored it
it easier.
It'll be like a trip for Ash too.
Yeah, actually. Rocky definitely had 7 movies, and then there was Creed, which was actually very good.
They're getting a sequel.
The sequel's probably going to suck, but Creed was good.
Oh, you are lying to me, Asher.
Well, you won't like it.
No. I'm saying it only went up to it's Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, then Rocky Balboa in 2006, and that's the only one that's so 7. It would be 7. I was right. Don't try to out Philadelphia me.
Huh. I thought there were 7. I wonder why I thought that.
Maybe you're counting Creed in.
And then yes, there's Creed.
Maybe I was counting Creed.
Maybe it splits them off, and then there's gonna be a Creed 2 in 2018 apparently. Okay, fine. If you want to count the Creeds, then yes, there's.
I'm happy for you to be the Philadelphian here.
No, my Rocky movies.
And don't share the podcast with shady characters trying to sell you a get-rich-quick scheme involving butt injections.
It's true, but also not what I want to think about. Okay. So it would be like, I'll just do this. It's just like a 5, 4, 3, blank, blank. Everyone says bye. Okay?
Yes.
5, 4, 3, bye.
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 It wasn't synced up at all, but bye. Can we do it separately now?
Bye.
So,
Bye. Bye. Bye.
bye.
Bye.
Bye. Let's not say it a lot. Bye.
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 It's just me and Andrew.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
That's exactly.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Hitler Arts.